up, everybody? Thanks for listening to and watching Blerd Empire Zoom edition, I guess we should say. This is episode 17. My name is Royce, co-host along with my father, who is on the, was it the right of me? Yes?
I mean,
at least on my screen.
Don't matter.
On my screen.
We don't care.
Or I guess if you're viewing this to the left of me. But yeah. SINBAD, if you want to break down what Blerd Empire is all about.
Okay, Blerd Empire, Blerd stands for Black Nerd Empire because it's the whole galaxy. What we're doing is talking about things, technology. Some things we're talking about pop culture. Sometimes we talk about what's happening here with the quarantine. And sometimes we talk about politics, but we don't feel like talking about politics because it's insane as hell. So right now we got some special people. I have Royce introduce them. This is very different because I'm in it. Usually Royce and I are sitting next to each other. Everybody used to Royce and I sit next, but this is a separation Zoom meeting because we want to use the capability of Zoom. So I'm in the house in my special Zoom meeting room. And
exactly.
Royce is in the studio, in the control studio.
I'm in the control room. We felt that we were getting too close over the quarantine, so we needed some separation just for a little bit.
Did. So people got mad at us. People got mad at us as we're walking, driving by. And people on the streets would drive by. 6 feet. I said, this is my son, fool. So I try to chase the car and touch people.
Yes, exactly. So our special guest today, I'm really excited that you guys could be here. We have some awesome people from the Rogue Initiative Entertainment Technology Company. Does amazing stuff, but I'll let you guys explain it way better than I could. So if you guys please introduce yourselves.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for having us, first of all. I'm Pete. I'm the Pete Blumel. I'm the studio head at Rogue Initiative, and we're a video game development company and also a production company. So we are first and foremost guys that make video games and immersive content. We've done it for many years. We're all AAA video game guys from a long list of different games like Call of Duty and Black Ops and Battlefield and games like that. And we have another half of our studio which does all linear content in film and television. And our real goal is how we can merge the two things in really nice ways using Unreal Engine and other video game engines and emerging technologies to kind of mitigate costs and make awesome stuff, whether it's for games or for linear content. So that's kind of where we kind of blossomed this company out of. And we've been around for 5 years, so far so good.
I'm Brad, guys, VP of Development for Rogue. I've been with the company for most of its duration. Come from more traditional film and television development. But with Rogue coming over in 2016, we were doing a lot of virtual reality. Pete's and the team's background in video games have really tried to shift over and focus on that. And I love the interactive space so much. I'm more of a white nerd, but I think we're all on the same page as far as our overall love for nerdy things.
Right.
So
I think that just might be a nerd.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a nerd.
super excited to be here. Royce, you and I have hashed out, your various script ideas for hours and hours, and have all the respect in the world for you. And SINBAD, you were obviously part of my life growing up. So honored to be here. Excited to talk with you guys, and I'll let Joe take over.
Hey, I'm Joe. Probably already talked to me a few minutes already. I'm actually a Blerd.
There we go.
In the literal sense. I've been doing programming for pretty much my entire career right out of high school. Just started working on this stuff. Everything from VR to mobile apps to video games, obviously. Lots of Unreal Engine. I've actually done straight download engine development. Anything I can get my hands on, I've been writing code for. So heavy math guy, love mathematics. Been studying it since late high school. I say late.
Wow. Late. Okay. You got on the train. You got on.
Yeah, I'm good now. But yeah, I've been doing this stuff pretty much my whole career. So, right out of high school. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's fun. It's good stuff. I love the late nights. I love the good dinners. But in the middle, I like working on the projects too. So
love it. So yeah, Pete, please share with everybody what the Rogue Initiative is all about, because you guys are doing some awesome stuff.
We've had a few projects come out of the gate right away. It was a VR world that we created ourselves called Crow, the Drowned Armory. And that was just a test of the VR community and the marketplace, and also how much we can push graphics cards at the time, which is now 3 years ago when it really started blossoming and becoming a thing. What can we get out of the engine? What can we get out of the graphics cards? And what can we get in VR? So we really tried some high-level animation. We got dragons and robots fighting, played with scale, played with different mechanics that you can only do in VR. And so it was a fun experiment. We've since done a lot of different VR things. We've worked on the last thing was a cloud AI solution that we want to visualize in an engine. So it was a very challenging and different project for us, but we tend to put out a lot of fires for different companies and studios, mostly work in the game engine. We've done a couple things on Amazon Prime on the linear side. Kathy, my co-founder and wife, comes from Sony and NBC TV, you know, all those kinds of backgrounds that are much different than mine. And so together with Brad, we kind of figure out what content we're creating to put into the linear side. So we have a couple projects and shows out there that we're really kind of push and get out the ground. Most of the things we do, though, are really science, fantasy, action, things that are really fun that you can build worlds out of. They can live, you know, as a narrative in a comic book or a TV show or a game, and leverage all that and build a fan base. So, you know, that's kind of what we started our company trying to do, because we're all nerds, and so if you want to make money doing it, you got to make really cool stuff everyone gets into. That's typically sci-fi and fantasy.
I love it.
All right.
I love it. Yeah, because I remember when the first time you guys invited me down to your spot, like I believe it was Crow. I think that's the game you guys had me play, and I didn't really know what I was in for. You guys were like, "Oh yeah, just throw the headset on," and I didn't really have too much experience with VR. But yeah, just throw the headset on and just go at it. And just that experience you guys built was crazy. Just like the amount of stuff. I believe because that's the one with, like, it had the bow and arrow and all that stuff, and you had to hit all these different targets and all that. It was a full workout by the time I was done with it. It was crazy. But one of the projects too, if I want you guys to kind of talk on just real quick, because at least the last one that I was kind of around when you guys were in production, I believe was Agent Emerson, which is a full 360-degree first-person VR film.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, and that was an early project. Those are our earlier projects. It took a little longer than making the game, believe it or not, because there's so many dependencies in film production and post-production and getting that to look right. It ended up being something that was very unique because we filmed it with a very proprietary camera setup. It was basically the actor was wearing a Steadicam, and he was actually the cameraman and the actor. And we also incorporated real-time engine into it to kind of show some of the movement of the player, because you're in first person, or I should say the audience, because you're in first person. And so that required us to kind of put it in an engine. So we actually have a movie running in a game engine. And so that lent a little more immersion to the prospect of you looking around and watching this movie all happen. And of course, again, it's more action. You're a special agent, you know, fighting bad guys and rescuing a beautiful woman. In this case was Lindsay Fonseca, but then the tables turn and she rescues you. And it's all the kind of fun stuff we like doing. Brad was very involved in it. Brad, I'm sure you have some cool stories dealing with the director and basically a global production on that.
Yeah, it was this amazing process, like Pete said, we filmed that in early 2017, and we have the most energetic and just thoughtful writer and director. His name's Ilya Rozkov, who we were working with. And luckily we had him as like this just boundless energy that was able to fight through what was like a 2-year post-production process, just because it was so ambitious what we did when we filmed it. This idea of having this, there were 16 to 18 cameras on this proprietary rig. It was this setup that weighed tens of pounds on this actor who was also the stunt man. So like Pete was saying, you could look down and see his body, and then you would have these in-engine shoulders that would react to where you're looking to kind of further immerse you. But everything was designed from the ground up to be not only comfortable, but obviously thrilling. And there's this whole little 12, 15-minute story that you go through. But man, just with how ambitious we were when we set it up and all the things we wanted to do with CGI and stitching together all the different cameras and what they captured, it was this nightmare, honestly, but this really informative process of like learning how to turn that into something that's going to be an effective ultimate film. And it's amazingly, we are all so proud of what the final project was, but man, I feel bad for a lot of those post-production teams just for losing probably years off their life of just like long nights and stress and all that stuff. But like that's games, right? That's games, that's film, that's all of that. And as long as you're learning and as long as you create something meaningful at the end of the day, which I do think we did, then it's worth those sacrifices.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think just that thing you're talking about, the mixing film and gaming and kind of like bringing those two worlds together, I think is really great. And I know we'll jump into that a little bit later, but I know there's a trailer people can watch, right? If they want to check out the trailer online, is that on your website, on YouTube? Where can they find that?
Yeah, thank you. It's on our website, and then there's also an Agent Emerson website. So I can get you those links, Royce. Thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. Perfect.
You know,
Awesome.
I want to ask a question. 'Cause with Joseph and Brad, all you guys are such different cats. How did y'all get together? How did the Rogue Initiative even happen?
Wow, that's a good question. So, I was I worked at DreamWorks Amblin for many, many years, and I got to know Michael Bay, and then I went on to work on the Call of Duty games. And during the Call of Duty games, we're making these really big tentpole action, modern warfare type games. And I remember at one point, I went to go visit Bay Films, and Michael said, "Hey man, you guys doing some crazy stuff there, and the Call of Duty stuff, it looks like my shots, and let's make something together." And I was really excited to actually say, "Let's create something together." So the genesis of this company was working with Michael on a project which we're setting up, and it's gonna start here at the end of the year. So we're really excited that is a feature film franchise and a video game interactive piece we're doing together. So and it's big. It's not small. It's not VR. It is traditional, our bread and butter, as it were. So that's kind of where it started. I said, man, how do I do this? How do I get out of the studio system? And maybe this is a completely different conversation altogether at one point. But getting out of the traditional game business or the film business and making something separate where we can house really great talent, really great video game talent and film talent, Hollywood talent in one place with one structure, one production culture and financial model that makes sense for everybody, and create really cool things using technology. And so that has just been my dream forever. I tried working on it from the film side and again from the game side, and managed to get pieces of each in each different pot. But Rogue Initiative is a place where we actually created a structure working with a studio, a couple of them now, to really do it. So, sometimes you need a big person that really is an anchor there on the talent side to help on the film side, us on the game side, and make the magic happen. That's the origination of Rogue Initiative, to be honest.
How did Brad find you? How did Joseph find you? How did you guys find each other?
I read their press release announcement and just reached out to them. And like Pete, I was trying to get out of kind of that traditional film development path, and VR was something that they were developing Crow at the time, this game that we would release in 2017. So I was like, I want to get into VR. I had a lot of smart friends that were making that move, and it was just a very interesting place to be at that time. So I wanted to make the jump over there. And then, like I said, I've since fallen in love with the game development, but it was that way to get out of that traditional studio system into something new and exciting, this new frontier. And it's funny, it's like now how priorities shift over time. It's like, now I just want to get out of my apartment, but I can't really do that. Where we are. So, funny how those things change. But Joe, I'll let you tell your story now.
Yeah, so obviously I'm a big gamer, but I met Pete and the rest of the team through a mutual friend of ours. And I came through, sat down, had some conversations, speeding things up. I ended up joining the team. I was coming from a lot of military, projects, obviously still in VR, still in mobile, still in programming. But it's very interesting how they're actually using this type of tech to, help sell their stuff. So, with that being said, it's time
a lot of that drone stuff, simulation stuff.
Oh,
my
yeah,
boys,
absolutely.
I was an Air Force guy. They were using, somehow they found out with the drone guys, the best gamers are the best drone flyers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all remote controlled.
Yeah, it is, man.
It really is.
So it's time to make that transition over to something closer to home, which was video games. For me, I grew up playing, so it was time.
And it's amazing that, Joe, you've never really done that traditionally, because just watching you jam and watching you figure out problems, you really have obviously such a good sense for it. So it's incredible that this is really your first introduction into a company that does that, and it's great to have you because you're immensely
thanks. Appreciate it. I'm used to being in the wrestling and bustle. A lot of stuff I've been on show floors live, so I'm ready. It's easy.
I love it,
man. It's cool, man.
I love
it, man.
And obviously, you guys having this, living in this world of interactive entertainment. That's kind of how I feel you guys are setting things up just as a whole. That's why I'm really glad you guys could be here, obviously, so the world could know a little bit more about you. But also, I just would love to hear your guys' opinions, being in the industry that you're in, kind of with some of these topics on tech and things like that are happening now, specifically during COVID-19 and the quarantine. And just get your guys' insights on that. And, first, just want to lead off, obviously, with what we're using now. We're using Zoom. People are communicating a lot more through FaceTime, video chats, through mediums people usually wouldn't even think of unless it was like a far distant relative or things like that, trying to see their grandkids, what have you. So just wanted to kind of just open up the floor and talk about that a little bit, and how, not just Zoom, but like other programs like Zoom, just video chatting in general, and people trying to still communicate, seeing one another without actually being in the same room, kind of like, how that's affecting everybody. And right now, what would you guys say would be like the most important platform right now that people are using, would you say? I would think, Zoom, but I want to hear what you guys would have to say about that in your experience.
I'm going with Instagram. I'm seeing so much Instagram live content from so many people that I haven't heard of in so long that it's like, I think a few days ago, big producers Scott Storch and Manny Fresh went live playing music for people. And it was just like, wow, I haven't even seen these guys in a long time. And at the same time, we can sit down and watch it, especially during the, the shutdown is what we're going to refer to it as. But I think I'm going with Instagram, social media level stuff. This is great for, if you want to keep it private and everything. But if you want to reach the masses, Facebook and Instagram, which it technically now is the same company, they're the ones that's really pushing it into the millions and millions of people at the same time, which, that's pretty important to be able to do. Because NBC.
What do you think about TikTok? What do you think about TikTok now?
I like TikTok. I think it's the new Vine, to be honest. I think Vine did it first. And now we have TikTok. I mean, Vine kept it short to 6 seconds. I guess they just let people do the same thing just longer. You don't have to compress your content anymore, So, but I like it. I think it's good. It's great for the kids, especially. I just like watching. I'm not going to get on there.
Not that my daughter's on it.
Oh yeah.
You'd be surprised though. I thought I'd never jump on. I did one TikTok and I'm hooked. I want to learn all the dances.
What'd you do? What was your first one?
My first one, because the thing is, I was trying to make TikTok like Instagram and the other platforms. So I was just kind of like, because I do tech reviews and stuff. So I was trying to do tech reviews. No one cared. no one cared about that. And then I did one silly one, and that one like actually blew up, got, at least for me, got like, I think like around maybe 50, 60K views and that and all that, and got me like some followers. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what the people want. All right, I can do that. I was like, this is way easier than do my tech reviews. I could do this all day.
I think the key to social media, I think people have been in the game and entertainment. You're thinking too much, in the box. TikTok has become almost like Instagram now. TikTok started about being dance challenges. Now they got comedy sketches up. People saying, forget it. I'm putting my video up on TikTok. It's not TikTok what it used to be. That's just the name of the company. TikTok is whatever you want it to be. I don't care if you're doing dancing. I don't care if hey, here's my sketch. TikTok gets quick looks. And if you get people looking at you, they'll come back for you. But the dumber you make it and the less you think about it, the better. If you overthink it and try to overproduce it, people are like, nah, I ain't got time for you. The dumber, that's why twerking videos are like, oh my gosh, she's twerking every morning. Thank you every morning. I'm telling you, man.
Every morning.
Life is too complicated now, and that's just a good, simple way to just enjoy a little bit of something.
No, it's a business, sure. It's a business. I think there's a place there for some sort of reality show. You could do like look how The Masked Singer is crazy, right? My kids watch that. If you did like The Masked Comedian on TikTok or some short form like that and get people in real time to be engaging, it might be hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Because I mean, we just saw SNL, right? They did a whole show just using Zoom. And I think that's what's interesting is how it's like it's morphing. Instead of halting everything completely, I think everybody's taking this time to be like, okay, we obviously can't go into the studio. We can't have the cameras and things like that. We can't have the professional look, but we can still bring the entertainment, the kind of like the heart and soul of like what people care about anyway. Obviously having the nice production value is great, but what matters is the story, how people feel. And it's like, we could still make people laugh, cry, or what have you. I think everyone's still using that. And they're like, okay, what technology are people using? SNL, I'm sure, saw Zoom was the big thing. Zoom's been having its own issues. So they're like, all right, let's do that. Let's poke fun at that. And I think that's kind of like gone into this next stage of like how will this affect us, moving forward? Will more people in the industry be utilizing these platforms more? Because Dad, I know you've been getting hit up for some gigs using like they want you to use all these different conferencing apps. So how has that like been affecting you as far as your craft?
Well, I'm telling you, this pandemic for me, my son knows I'm in heaven. I live my head. I'm not cursing the darkness. I got the whole different look at it. I've been going to tech shows, looking at software. I've been trying to figure this thing out for the longest, but I never had time to sit down and really look at it. But now, we've tested what 8, 9 different platforms, and it's almost like beta versus VHS. Some platforms that might have been better, people jumped over. I think Blue Jeans has a better video quality than Zoom does. But nobody knows who Blue Jean. People barely knew what Zoom was, but companies had it. Blue Jean has Dolby put into it. I mean, Blue Jean is a hell of a company. I did shows for them a couple of years ago, but they only lived in that corporate world. Zoom had a head up because they were already doing conferences. They were doing online learning. They were doing online. Musicians were all there. I was on Zoom because if you didn't get the free account, you kept it under 40 minutes. You could just, we just restart. Right. So it's like Instagram. After hour, you just restart. What I like about what is done, what I like about what this quarantine has done, like with Saturday Night Live, they got rid of some of the big production because some of them jokes don't work because they overdid it. Now you got to think, I'm in this little square, I'm in this little box. How can I go for it? How do I go for it? It's making you tighten up. And those who are creative, and I think those who have got real skills, and then the new ones who have skills that are coming up, I think this is a chance. I hope it doesn't go away. I hope this is a great, like Quibi was trying to do, and maybe just a wrong time for them, and maybe it was too much money, it's too big a platform. But I think you can sell a show quicker on TikTok. I think you can sell a show quicker on Instagram, and doesn't have to have the quality. I think you can sell a show on Zoom, and doesn't have to have the quality of a Quibi because people want to see something creative. I think this medium is great for entertain. It's making entertainers who are so big, who usually don't talk to people. Now you got to humble yourself and come down and go like, hey, how you doing, guys? Here's a song. Hang in there. Wash your hands. Okay, shut up. Get some reality about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Every entertainer, hey, I'm really sorry. Don't sit in your pool. Don't sit in your jacuzzi. Don't show people everything you have and just say, wash your hands, you hang in there, unless you're doing something. But people want to be entertained. They don't care. They know you got more money than them. Give us something. Give us something unique. Give us something happen. Like I was saying, I think this could be bigger than Quibi because Quibi is so much money, a lot of money was spent. I think kids will watch, not kids, even me, I'll watch the show on TikTok if it's funny. And I don't care if the quality doesn't match a broadcast show or Netflix show. Because sometimes I think for the first time in a long time, we get to watch somebody break out new because we've lost that venue, that avenue where somebody can perform new and we watch them because we just happen to have the time right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then for Pete, Brad, and Joe, just for you guys, for Rogue Initiative, how have you guys been using these new mediums professionally and, just personally too in your own lives with your family?
For me, I guess I'll go first. For me, I've been using a lot of screen sharing, actually. Obviously, we can jump into a chat just like this. And if I'm working on something, I can actually, stream what I'm looking at from my desktop, which is huge when you're not being able to, sit next to people because of social distancing. But, and actually, being able to, take control of the mouse. Think like TeamViewer or I think it's integrated into Teams too also. So from a professional level, screen sharing has been huge for me in this pandemic or the shutdown.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've just been finding apps and experimenting with stuff, like Zoom, and then finding ones that allow you to share the screen effectively or ideally have games and different forms of entertainment elegantly built into it. And the one that I've been really impressed with is House Party, right? Which was a indie developer, I believe, and then they got acquired by Epic in June of last year. And there's not a lot of content there yet. There's something like 4 games, but they're so seamlessly built into this otherwise pretty elegant or pretty standard just video chat app. But the idea is you hop on there with all your friends, the game or the whole platform is very good about telling you when new friends are getting on, allowing you to invite people into your group. If you don't lock, which I don't think it locks by default, you can literally just jump into friends' videos and just scare the hell out of them. So like I literally jumped into my friends' family. I've never met her parents, but I just jumped in and I think I just screamed and then I just disappeared. And you can do great things like that, which is super fun. But if you're actually looking to play the games how they present them, I really think it's great because it's really well seamlessly put into it. And me and my brothers and my roommate who's family friends, we will just play that for hours and hours and hours. And even though there's not a ton of content there, it's super fun and you just want to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna check it out. So you just made me want to check it out because there were things I wasn't checking out. Like I didn't do Google Hangouts enough at the house party. ROYCE had told me about it. I said, man, check out House Party.
Yeah.
I think everything finally has a place. Remember before it was like, I ain't go there. Now like I said, it's time. Hey man, what you doing today? Let's go to House Party. And if it don't work out, I got 23 more hours.
Exactly.
So I have no time limit, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's actually Brad, it's funny you mentioned like just popping into people's house parties because I think that's the one thing people aren't ready for when you first download the app because you're just like, all right, cool, I'm just hanging out with a couple of my friends. And if you don't lock your actual like chat party that you're in, literally anyone in your friends list can join. And my wife, she's actually been using it to, for girls' night and things like that. They had like played games and things like that. Thankfully, she said somebody jumped in. Actually, no, I think it was me. I think I jumped in and just see what they were doing. But that made her realize, she's like, wait a minute, anybody can jump in? I was like, yeah. She's like, all right, well, glad I'm actually like wearing clothes, are appropriate for like anybody to jump in. Cause if you're not ready and you think, you're just walking around in your underwear or something.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's like in video game design, right? You talk about how do you teach lessons to the player, and I really think it's kind of like just the developers who created this app being like, listen, we're gonna by default keep these rooms unlocked, and you're gonna have a couple times where some rando jumps in and is doing something weird, or you have your shirt off or something, and it's gonna be a hard lesson, but you'll learn that lesson, and you'll probably have a pretty funny experience out of it as well. So
right.
Well, Zoom learned the same lesson. Remember, Zoom had the Zoom buy. Zoom now everybody has to have a password. Man, people like this. Hey, today work on. We got Brad. You got this new thing, and Joseph, and I come in, and you're like this. Wait a minute, man. And they were stealing the recordings from the meetings. They were coming and taking them. You remember this. During a shutdown like this, there's regular people, and then there's those jerks who were jerks before the shutdown. And they were lonely before the shutdown. And now they have a chance to bother you because they're a little more technical astute than you. So that technically, we call them, those are not nerds or blerds. Those are those guys we hated. In school and new stuff, but nobody liked them.
This is their time.
Yes,
this is their time. Jackass. This is jackass time.
I love that. What about you, Pete? Anything like you guys have been noticing differently, or even just with your family communicating?
We're so bored that we started. My 6-year-old, he's trying to cope with the idea of being quarantined and not getting out of the house or seeing his friends. And so we created this thing called Ryker's Rocket on YouTube, which is a little show we do. Speaking of, of those kinds of things. So he can talk to an audience and people can visit him and FaceTime into his little rocket ship we built in the garage. And then we film it. And just an idea to kind of cope with the idea of being isolated. So that's what we've been up to lately.
That's awesome.
Now,
I love that.
You just heard, that's a pure nerd. A rocket ship in the garage. Most kids have a box. Most kids kind of take this stick outside. Only true nerd son, we're going to build a spaceship.
Yeah, this is hardcore. We got flashing lights and everything. Right.
Yeah, man, he's like, and another, all of his friends like this. I don't have anything. He got everything.
I love that. Man, so and that's the cool part about it is like we're all finding different ways, to communicate with each other, to still have fun, to kind of like keep our spirits up, which is great. And obviously the video streaming platforms, everybody's just like, come to us, use us. This is what we got.
And that fight's going to heat up the more time that goes by until the shutdown ends.
Right, exactly.
Like, what happened to them?
Right. One thing that's getting hit harder than anything I think right now is the internet. Like everybody is on the internet. Joe, like you talked about Instagram Live, everybody's going live. You know, we've been going live, Dad, with Blerd Empire. Just everyone is online at the exact same time, and
I'm watching Beethoven 2 right now as we do this. It's got on my iPad.
Go. People are streaming, video chatting, live streaming, gaming, all that stuff, all at the same time, and it's just, you know, it's just taking a hit. And so I wanted, obviously, with, you know, with us at Blerd Empire, like with our live streams, it's made things a lot more difficult with what we're doing and sharing files. Dad, you were trying to share some large files today that were taking forever to upload to Dropbox. You know,
man, it's just, look, man, my files, I messed up because I was doing a podcast with somebody who said, well, film it also on your phone so we can have that video. And man, I did 4K because it was the last minute. Last night, my phone was like this. You know, I can't do this. My phone said, I can't do this. So luckily, we had a house of so many cables, and I had Royce with me. Royce, we actually had to go such a walk around. Royce had to take the files. It took them all night to finally make it to my cloud before I could even put it in Dropbox. So he put it into Final Cut Pro so I could take it from Final Cut Pro and then send it to the Dropbox from there.
Yeah.
I'm about to say these are gonna be the unseen tapes.
Right.
These are gonna be the unseen tapes that never happened.
Everything's taking a hit. I mean, Instagram, they've even had to limit the amount of people that go live at the same time. Netflix and some other like streaming services, they're throttling their speeds in like certain areas of the country, and it's just getting hit. So for you guys,
turn up Instagram.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think Facebook stopped the whole dual streaming thing where you can like join in on the stream. And Instagram,
really?
You can still do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Facebook disabled it for now because before this you could do that for sure.
Interesting.
Trying to cut some of that traffic in half.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, they got to at some point. And that's why I was curious with you guys, because I'm sure with the line of work you're in, VR, film, these are all, I'm sure, very large files. And I don't know how you guys are exchanging with each other, if it's all local, or if you have to send that out. Like, how is this whole internet throttling affecting you guys?
So typically I work with very, very large files. We're talking like 50 gigs and up. That's like 50 is small. So I usually take it and chop it into little pieces and then start to send those little small files out.
I should have done that.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's what I should have done.
That's a good one. It's kind of like using files as a progress bar.
Right.
Repurposing it. So if it drops, then you start back over from the last one that actually sent correctly. So, but we're talking 50 gigs plus. Like, oh man,
and Joe, we've done that with people around the world, right? So it's like now, as we're dealing with all these connectivity issues, and I actually personally think the internet's held up remarkably well given all that's going on right now. I've actually been very impressed by it. Just as talking about the internet as one general giant thing. But, but I will say that just with the project that we're working on internally and that we're prototyping and having to share that between Joe and Saji and all of our developers in our studio, they all need to download this huge project. It needs to be able to upload when they make changes and push changes and things like that. It's a seemingly very complicated and daunting task. But I mean, there was a big initial download for them, and that was a little bit of a you had to collaborate and figure out how to do that most effectively. But I mean, we've been having our bi-daily talks, and they've been developing and working together and creating this prototype, and it's worked really well. So I've been very impressed in general, and you can still kind of develop a video game even in these times, which is cool.
We've got guys that are in the Bay Area, another guy in Colorado. We've been working with a team in China, so we've been pretty accustomed to doing this. But Perforce, any developer that's in the game business will be using Perforce as a software that kind of manages your source control software, and that's been the linchpin for us.
Yeah, Perforce is awesome. I love it. A good friend of mine actually told me that if it takes too long to upload, and you can send a pigeon faster with a thumb drive, you probably should do that. That means the internet.
You know what? I almost did it. I almost had my friend to come by with a hard drive. I said, bring the hard drive by, and I'll just give you the files, man.
Much faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, do you guys remember when the internet first? I've been online since 1983, and when the internet was just starting to happen, and they said they were going to keep a piece of internet for schools and hospitals called the Internet 2. I don't know if y'all remember that. The Internet 2, because what they demonstrated was an orchestra where everybody was in a different city and they're performing live at the same time. And I was so turned on by that. And I could never find Internet 2. I've been trying to sign up for it. And to this day, I don't understand what happened to Internet 2.
It still doesn't exist.
Yeah, I wonder if the government kept it for themselves, if it's a DARPA project. That's a good question, because right now with the infrastructure and talking about how some people who are in school simply either their school is done. It's only an option to be online, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad in some places where people don't have internet and like, well, I guess I'm done for the year. And yeah, that's one of the things that I think this whole sort of difficult times, the situation has shed light on some of those that I think internet's going to be something infrastructure-wise that everyone should have, and maybe that internet too needs to be a real thing one of these things.
No, I was saying I hope a lot of good solutions come out of this. Because people respond better than they do. Prepare. So this will teach a lot of different lessons.
I'm hoping to see the disparity in education, what it means like when a kid not just have internet, we don't have a computer to get on the internet. So a lot of kids didn't even have the iPad. So I think we have to find a way to recycle old iPads, recycle old computers, so the kids can always have something, man. That you can always have a way. I'm like this. I don't think any school should continue if all of them can't get online. I don't think they should be able to continue. You shouldn't have to tell the student, well, find a way. If they all can't be online, if they all don't have the tool, you have to shut it down for everybody. You can't do the haves and have-nots. That's done. You can't do that to people, man.
Yeah, agreed.
Because I found out when you shut down the haves, they find a way to help the have-nots. If you tell the haves they can't have it, they get very generous. they get very charitable, man. And they see they're about to go get behind everybody else.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I love it. I love it. And bringing it back to kind of the game aspect of your guys' company and the experience you guys have with VR. I know that VR is kind of like another thing that's been cropping up as far as like other ways to communicate with people. I've seen like people hosting events, gatherings, people having birthday parties in virtual reality. Some comedians have been doing stand-up in VR and all that stuff. So break down for us, for you guys, obviously, who have the knowledge on it, how you guys see VR playing in this space. Do you think it'll be a big deal? And actually, will this be what it takes for VR to kind of like go to that next level? I'm
going with yes. I'm saying yes. Okay. Absolutely. I think that VR sales are up, obviously, because now is the time to try it out. Because like SINBAD said, 23 hours left today. And also it lets you be somewhere even closer than just on the video screen. Because I can sit back and watch, but we've been watching TV for years, so I'm used to that. Yeah. It lets me go inside, which is amazing. So that's the real big thing about VR that I really appreciate. As we mentioned, like the Agent Emerson thing, watching a movie and actually being the actor instead of just watching the actor. You got to think about the different types of content you can produce from that. But like I said, once the shutdown is over, I think that that window is starting to close once it's over with. So I think somebody's got to come in there and take over. So yes, I think VR is going to be huge for a long time.
I want to talk to you about guys. I want to talk to you guys about maybe doing a VR stand-up, man. I would love to do something like that, man.
Absolutely.
I would love to do a VR stand-up where people can see it from my point of view, seeing hecklers, seeing it from the audience. I would love to get somebody to be able to see that world, man. Because most of the time when I see VR, I see a VR concert. You know what they end up doing? Because they don't have the right guys like you there. They still think like that guy who doesn't know VR. You'll see a VR concert and say, dude, that's just give me another view of the seat. You just give me another view sitting somewhere else. I said, let's take them beyond. Like, I want you to be me. Yeah. You want to be me? Yeah. Be me. See what I'm seeing when I'm talking to people. So people go like, we've seen the camera angles where camera's behind me. But what if you're sitting here and I'm like, what I'm seeing when I'm talking to people, and then from that point of view with the person I'm talking to, the audience, right, with them talking to me, that would be so damn cool, man.
Yeah, well, SINBAD, we were talking before we started this video going about how you've been on some of your different forums or whatever, and you have people asking you questions from all over the place, and you simply cannot address everyone. So I was thinking, you know, if you had one person who didn't understand how hard that is and kept heckling you, or just a heckler in general, I would love that idea of some sort of a first-person guns, not a gun scenario, but some sort of thing where you could zap those people out of the room if they're really annoying you. Like, you could just be playing, giving your jokes, and if you're getting heckled too much, or you're having someone, like, you could literally just point at them and just zap them away. How satisfying that would feel for you, I'm sure. Things you can't do.
But I'm different. Where I'm different is I've never thrown a heckler out.
Yeah.
I engage with them. So I would like to be able to say, boom, let me gauge you. Hey, man, let me bring you to the stage.
Yeah.
What you got to say? Since you got so much to say, because I tell hecklers, you got something to say, I said, give them the mic. I do a thing. I said, I threw a second mic at the audience. Is that the only one you had? So you can't come to just heckle me once, and that's all you had. You got to give me 2 or 3. You can't just have one. I'm like this. This is your chance.
Teleport them up there. They have to perform, and then they'll probably just leave themselves at that point because they'll be scared out of their mind.
Yes.
That's great.
That sounds awesome.
A good solution. Good solution.
We got to do that, man.
People actually go crazy for that.
Very similar.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that. Don't let this virus go by. We go like, yeah, man, that was a nice idea, but let's do something.
That is very straightforward. Last summer we worked with the studio to create a virtual, basically a virtual rave, you know, like pizza style. And we did that in the engine, and we basically visualized music in real time, shooting off in the environment in an Unreal Engine made world, game engine, and it was really cool. So the DJs, they're playing, things are firing off, things are happening. It's all happening in real time because it's being driven by the music procedurally, and you're there. You can be right there DJing or part of this beautiful electronic forest world, and it was really, really fun and a great experience. So, and that's kind of right up the alley. And then, you know, of course, streaming it out so that audiences not there can see it and be a part of it. I think 5G will be a big part of getting that out there too. So all the technology is coming right where you want it to be.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking at, because ROYCE got a lot of stuff that you guys are talking about, man. Does Netflix run out of content? I mean, there's so many old movies to play. There's stuff that we hated. There's movies I hated. I'm gonna watch them. Yeah. I'll never run out. I'll watch silent film. It gets to that point. I'm gonna watch some Buster Keaton movies. I'm gonna go all the way back. Then I'm gonna listen to radio shows. Then I'm gonna listen to radio. Oh, the Shadow Dude. Who is the Scarecrow? I got so much stuff, man. I'll never run out. I'm almost scared, Joseph. I'm almost scared of when this is over. That I need it to last a little bit longer. I know we all gotta make money, but I need it to last a little bit longer for creativity. I need people to get that hunger to the point where, like, they're not mad no more. Like, okay, this is it. You know, when you finally give up, I'm like this. I'm not cursing the darkness. I'm like, okay, this is it. What do we do? I want everybody to get this. So those who are creative, we get to jump in the game. Yeah. So when it's over, you're like, boom, I'm jumping in the game. We jumped in the water. Everybody keep thinking, I'm glad it's over. I can watch my regular shows and stuff. I said, I hope you never get to watch your regular show. At least not too fast. I want to sneak some other stuff. I want Hollywood that's been turning us down. I want Hollywood that doesn't get it. I want all those people who've been saying no. They have to come to people like you and say, okay, what do you have? What do you have? Because what we're doing ain't working. What we're doing ain't working. Thank you.
Build it up. We in that moment right now.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
Before I moved back to LA, I actually was going through that in Palmdale. There's just nothing else to do but write code and do math.
Oh, dude, I know. Palmdale was like a quarantine without being quarantined.
Yeah, exactly. Military base. So if you come over the 44 freeway, they're going to chase you down.
I love it. So since Brad, like you were saying, since you guys, it seems like you guys have that, obviously that mind to like kind of like turn anything into a game, whatever that form of entertainment or art is. So kind of like a fun thing, Brad, I know that we were talking about earlier, if you guys could actually gamify any of SINBAD's movies, what would you think that was? Or Dad, if you could speak, what any of the movies have you done would you actually want to see be turned into a game?
Oh, no, it's the one that really lends itself to game is Jingle All the Way.
Yes.
That one lends itself to gamifying. I mean, just right away.
Yeah.
And another one that people know about, the one I did for HBO, Cherokee Kid, the cowboy one. Because it was cowboy you're hunting. It's like almost Call of Duty with cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy to game of 5.
Red Dead Redemption 3, Cherokee Kid. There
we go.
That's it. Cherokee Kid, man. Cherokee Kid, bro.
I'm looking forward to playing that in 10 years. We'll,
right.
I was thinking about Jingle All the Way. I also think Good Burger's a really good one.
Good
Burger. It is.
When Joe, I think you were talking about that a little earlier, but I was thinking with Jingle All the Way, which truly is one of my just the most fun of the holiday movies.
Yes.
Just such a 90s staple, and Phil Hartman being in it, and just all the magical elements that made that movie so memorable. I will say there is just a series of fights in that movies where you could do that game as like a 90s brawler. You could do that as a one way, but I mean, I feel like for how just lovely of a movie it is and how much fun it is to watch and how joyful it is, it's also violent. Like they're just
I'm psychotic, dude. I'm a psychotic.
Bombs going off.
He blew
like,
the blow up.
The one where Arnold is fighting all the elves is the easiest choice. But like just a brawler where you're Arnold, you're you, because he fights you obviously several times. I want to be able to play as Sinbad or Arnold or just like get in there in a holiday, joyful holiday manner.
And that movie has a goal, and the goal is you're trying to get the toy. Remember, the goal of this movie is you're trying to get the toy. Booster ain't worth nothing. Can you see a bunch of boosters? Booster is worth nothing.
Booster to always be at every seat and just get taken out.
Yes.
I love
Nobody wants it.
And Dad, I always joked with you too. I always thought when we were talking about if they turn like a Turbo Man into an actual like action series, how dope it would be if like Booster was like, he started off as a sidekick, but then he like slowly becomes the villain because he's like, because he's tired of getting picked on. So I think that would transfer over perfectly as a game that Booster becomes the final boss that you have to take down.
But that's like the movie. What's the movie? The Family. With the family?
Oh, The Incredibles.
The Incredibles. Where the kid really idolized him, and then he became the evil brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The fun thing about Jingle All the Way is, and we watch it every year because my kids really love it and it's funny. And my 6-year-old he thinks Turbo Man is real and he keeps asking me for it. Like, he literally just this past Christmas. And like, I don't even know if that thing exists. But as a game, in his head, because he's a Power Ranger fan, I could see segments of the game going back into the show and reliving or being a Turbo Man character, but then going back to reality where you're fighting to get it. And these vignettes and transitions, it could actually be really fun. It could be really fun. That would be a game that's very, very easy to make.
And it's just like some of those properties from the 90s, when you talk about, regardless of what entertainment we're talking about, things like Cobra Kai can show you that people still love
yes,
whatever. And I guarantee if you made a game and just did it with some level of elegance or charm, that people would be wanting to play a Jingle All the Way game and just re-engage in that universe because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? We were watching yesterday, what you guys exactly talking about. We watched Sonic the Hedgehog. I had never watched it. And I said, how's it gonna work? You got live action with, you know what, man? Maybe because of Jim Carrey though, because Jim Carrey is such a damn genius.
It
worked,
great.
Man. Dude, it worked.
He's the best.
It worked, man.
Another one that my 6-year-old loved, and actually my others too. We watched it as a family together, and it was like, he's an alien, and he's just trying to get by and make friends and get someone high five. And I was skeptical because I come from the world of, being in film, trying to get games to work and adaptation wise, and then vice versa. But that one is very entertaining. And you're right, Jim Carrey nails it. This is really, really funny.
That's funny that, you bringing up that and, bringing up Sonic, because I believe Sonic was one of those movies that was released earlier than expected on digital release, obviously, because, it couldn't have a longer theatrical run. And then Trolls World Tour, I think, just came out this weekend. It was a full digital premiere. And The Hunted, I believe, because I think Paramount was the studio where they announced that all of their like upcoming projects, or like a handful of them at least, would all be doing like a digital premiere and things like that. And that's really been interesting because that's something where it makes sense while a studio would do that, because you still want to make some money off of like the movies that would have gotten destroyed by this whole situation. kind of just seeing how the industry's shifting towards that, because obviously they're losing a lot of money. And, you know, we look at Marvel, they're still reluctant to do the in-home releases. They've pushed back Black Widow, which was their next movie coming up in May. They pushed that back to November, I believe. And then their whole pipeline has kind of been just shifted. And, you know, there's still some studios that are still reluctant to go that route because they, you know, they still want to capitalize as much as they could, understandably. But that's just kind of, it just shows you kind of the confused state, I think, that the industry is in. I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on how it's affected you guys from that point of view, from the film side of it, and seeing other studios have to completely close down.
Yeah, we're lucky. You know, we're going to see a lot of summer movies hit, you know, in the next 6 months beyond, right? 2021. We're lucky that we have a picture that doesn't even get started till the end of the year, and we're looking at a date beyond 2021. When we hope that and imagine people will be coming back to the theaters, and it'll thin out, because 2021 will be a very busy year, and you'll be, as you know, you can go to Disney for every weekend pretty much. So it's very tricky. But going into the next year, the following year, 2022 and beyond, that's when hopefully things will start lightening up and we get back to business as usual. And so for us, not a biggest worry, but I can see, you know, a lot of production stalling right now and just waiting rather than getting something in the can and then losing that momentum behind it that the marketing guys are ready to push. But you have the movie done and then it's got to sit around. And so that's very challenging. And even more so for, you know, I read AMC may file for bankruptcy, which is huge and sad.
I didn't know that.
I read that the other day in the trades, I think, somewhere. And so I don't know, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure I saw that. And that really sucks because, you know, one of the biggest exports, people forget that one of the biggest exports of the U.S. is entertainment besides military. And so we really foot the bill for a lot of things. And when that industry takes a dump, it's really hard for everybody. I really believe that, whether it's, you know, on the technology side, video games, entertainment, in film, TV, and so forth. So I really hope it comes back soon. And right now, like you guys said, a lot of the things that are kind of working in virtual spaces are really helping the things that are more low production key, but still kind of generating attraction to engage people. And that's on mediums that are social and other places that you can get at home, because it's not going to be a theater anytime soon. And it's sad, you know?
Yeah.
I'm so thankful to not be in, you know, like film distribution right now and all the different parts of Hollywood. But, you know, Kathy, our other co-founder, was in distribution. And I just think about the issues that they are facing right now and the tough decisions they're having to make every day of like, okay, we would lose this many tens of millions of dollars if we did it this way, or if we held on to it for another year or whatever, or if we just released it digitally, whatever. It's just really difficult. And, you know, there's just the decades that Hollywood has been around, right? And how things have gotten refined and how there really is this pipeline for how these movies and these TV shows and this content is all so reliant upon one another, right? And all these pieces need to keep moving in unison. And a lot of that is A-list actor scheduling. And you could have, you know, some movie that is a small indie that manages to get this amazing A-list actor, and it's everything. It just worked out perfectly, and it's going to make or break this small film. And all of a sudden, he's got to go back and he's got to film another movie that it just will pay him more, and he needs to do that movie instead, and that whole other project falls apart. So there's just going to be a lot of very tough consequences that arise from this. And it will be interesting to see when things are business as usual, because it's just, we have been riding on decades and decades of like this well-oiled machine going in unison. And now that everyone's thrown off, and now that all the movies and TV shows and things that aren't being produced right now because of this, when does that gap hit? And it's just going to be a weird 2, 3, 4 years. And it's also, it's hitting the video game industry as well, right? It's like Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2 is the biggest release of this year. And was delayed, right? Because of, so all kinds of issues happen, and it's going to be a crazy entertainment landscape for a while.
So with that, do you guys see, like, Pete, like you were talking about 2021 just kind of being just a stockpile of like everybody's projects that were supposed to come out this year, now all trying to fight for some type of, you know, profit next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gonna be a crazy series of weekends through all of next year. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree. Yeah, 2021 is just gonna be a massive treasure trove. If I don't know. I wouldn't release too much competition. I'm just gonna wait till 2022. Let all of that fizzle out. Let it all fizzle out, and then try to insert in 2022 because everybody's done. Be the only guy out.
Right, exactly.
Is that when you're finally going to release your Final Fantasy coding script that will allow?
I'll never release it.
So one of on a silver lining, it seemed like Disney released Onward early, but they I think just put it on Disney Plus to get subscribers. So for a company that has a distribution channel that they own and operate and are actually trying to grow, that's the way for them. It was really smart. For other places, it's just a little trickier. Just try to get out there, and make the money you can off of video, because you won't go to the theaters. So
because we already talked about SINBAD, talked about Quibi, and how Quibi's model wasn't made for this, and people having unlimited time, and that whole platform is built on, okay, I only have so much time on my subway ride to work. Let me watch this episode, and now so that's unfortunate. And then obviously you talk about NBC Universal launching Peacock, and now the Olympics aren't happening, which was a key part of their initial release strategy. So it's just, you have all of this disruption, and obviously we all know that, and we can talk about it forever, but it's just everything is affected by this, and entertainment definitely. So
I really see 2022 being kind of dry. Everything is like games wise, movies wise. I don't know. If people are not producing content now, in 2 years, that's the content that was supposed to be released. Be it games or film, it doesn't matter. Any content. It's just going to be delayed. So all of it's going to come out in 2021, the stuff they've already started. And then it's all going to be out there. And then, boom, dry again. It's going to feel like another pandemic, a digital pandemic.
Right. I actually want to go back to something that Pete mentioned, too, as far as like Frozen 2 being released early on Disney Plus, obviously to get subscribers. And I think they're killing it. They got like 50 million subscribers now.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And so that's even a draw too, because like how we were talking about all these different video chat companies now like at war with each other. I think the streaming wars were always real, but now I think it's more deadly than ever, because now everybody wants your eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that, and it's tough too, because I feel like Netflix been putting out a lot of stuff. I think putting out a lot of stuff. I don't know how much stuff Hulu and all that stuff is doing. I mean, in general, what do you guys usually watch? Is it mainly Netflix?
For me, Netflix usually, Hulu.
So I was watching Picard, so we signed up for the CBS.
Yes.
But man, they've got all kinds of shows on there, like the old MacGyver episodes and stuff. So I think like they have a library that Netflix is trying to build still, but they've actually had a really strong creative for decades to have a library that's worth watching. Because sometimes, I'll be honest, I might watch an old episode of MacGyver or Big Bang Theory before I watch something new on Netflix. It's an original, honestly.
Especially if you get the 13
honestly, Netflix is first, and then Disney Plus for sure, and then CBS has been the new thing.
And they got the Star Trek Discoveries on CBS XS too.
I introduced my kids to the Next Generation, Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes.
And for them, that's the old Star Trek. That's the old Star Trek.
Yes. Yes.
Right. I know that's old. That's old for them. And that's interesting, because that brings up another topic. Like using this time. Would you say you guys are using this time to watch more like old school stuff, or are you trying to keep up with all the new shows? Because I mean, I feel like trying to keep up with all the new stuff is tough.
I personally watch MASH. That's the exception. But I try to like stick, to the 90s when I was a childhood. When I was in childhood. So, because that's memories for me. But I'm not reaching past anything before I was born, unless it was like a recommendation. Jacob's Ladder, for example, was one that was recommended to me. That was 70s. I think it was 70s. But I'm bringing back. That's it.
I'm bringing back all the blaxploitation movies.
Superfly,
Mac. I'm bringing all that back. Uptown Harlem, across 135th. I'm doing all that. I'm gonna start streaming on Fridays. I do a Funky Fridays. I'm bringing all that back. Blackula, all that.
And there's the video game there and those things.
Hey, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Absolutely.
There is.
That's a sketchy topic.
Very touchy.
I love it. Yeah, I know for me, I've been trying to keep up with like the old school like movies and classics, you know, just trying to use this time to just kind of immerse myself into that old school stuff and just use it as a time to like learn and educate, where I would usually have the excuse.
Do you have Criterion collection?
No, but I definitely want to, because they're paid subscription too, right?
Yeah. A little cheaper.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah. But I've wanted to do that, and I actually, I was thinking about using that time now to do that as well, because you know, might as well use this to actually watch like this stuff, you know, especially for me, since I want to, you know, always trying to get better at my craft with film and writing and things like that. Use that rather than, you know, watching the Tiger King over and over.
Yeah, oh my God,
don't sleep on the Tiger King. Sleep on the Tiger King.
One thing I wanted to kind of like, this could be our last point that we could talk about, is the kind of like the new kid on the block as far as the streaming wars go, and that's Quibi. You know, and for people who may not know, Quibi, a new platform that just launched last week, where they're focused on short form content, films, movies, documentaries, things like that. They're about 5 to 10 minutes long each, and they're supposed to be short content that we can consume real quick, solely on our phones, because that's a big part that I think a lot of people didn't realize, that it's all on our phones. I believe tablets as well, and iPads.
Yeah, tablets too.
Yeah, and but their whole thing is they're supposed to bring that short form content that we'd find on like YouTube or Instagram, but with those, you know, big budgets behind them that gives us the quality of like a Netflix show or HBO or something like that. And so this was supposed to be all the rage before the shutdown happened. Now I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, kind of how this platform works now that we're all just kind of sitting in our house and we have nowhere to go.
You know, I worked, I came in when DreamWorks first started and got to see Jeffrey and Steven and David build a studio and raise money, create content. And Quibi has raised more money. Jeffrey's raised more money for Quibi than he ever did for DreamWorks.
Thank you.
Which is nominally crazy. So there's something happening there, but I don't know exactly what it is, because I don't consume on a mobile device, but maybe if the content was good, that's the play he's going with. If it's good, they'll come. You build Vegas and people will come to the desert. But that said, he's got some amazing talent and amazing marketing. And it seems like, honestly, whether it's working in China or not, where they have a lot of users that live on their phones, watch on their phones, it's an interesting experiment, I will say. But Jeff's a smart guy, and I think there's something there. The aspects of what's happening now do put a damper on a few things, because people are home and they're on their Wi-Fi and they can watch whatever they want whenever they want. I'm curious myself, to be perfectly honest, because it seems like it's going to be about the content. If it's good, I think people will watch. And I haven't been, to be honest, I haven't experienced any of the content yet, but they've got some heavy hitters on there for sure. I don't know if you guys have a thought.
You know, we were going to, well, we have our own thoughts on it, because I looked when Quibi came out, because I've been known Katzenberg back in the day. But you basically took the same thing. You didn't open the door to any new actors, new producers. You basically took regular TV and movies I saw, and you brought in all these superstars who, you know, those names. I said, dude, you've been smart. If you just got some unknown cats, some of these cats doing some of this TikTok, if they had created some stuff for kids who actually make this kind of stuff, these short forms. So basically it's a shorter form of a movie I'm already seeing, or a series already seen, with the same actor. So you didn't open the door. You didn't make it bigger and better for those in the playing field, man.
But you can turn your phone, SINBAD.
Yeah, I know, and I can be there, and I can be there.
So that's a good point to bring up too, because one of the really cool features about Quibi is that you can watch each show either in landscape or portrait, and as you turn your phone, it adjusts properly. And I believe their technology is they actually do 2 separate edits for all their shows, where once you turn the phone, they make sure it's properly formatted for that. And even some shows take advantage of it, where you can actually, depending on how your phone's rotated, you could be seeing different types of content or different parts of a scene based off of the orientation of that. So for example, I know one show, I don't know if it's out yet, but it's about this one guy who tries to break into this girl's house. And if you hold your phone in landscape, you're watching like a traditional show. You're seeing her on her couch freaking out and all that stuff, trying to call the cops. But if you turn your phone to portrait, you're actually seeing her doorbell's perspective, the Ring doorbell, and you're seeing that camera and that guy actually trying to break in. So you can choose how you want to experience the story. And I think once more of those shows come out, I think that's what will help diversify that platform over the other ones, I think.
I think that works better if you actually had a real person trying to break in.
We got that. That's on the internet too. We just put the Ring videos on the internet too.
Right.
I wanted to be Sinbad trying to break into somebody's house. I'd watch that. I'd watch Sinbad.
Every week, Sinbad goes to a new home.
We can call it Sinbad Breaks In.
Oh, Sinbad gets locked up.
Yeah, exactly. The whole budget of the show is just paying bail. Everything else is the budget, but we're just paying bail.
And then when the police get there, they go like, "Oh, it's Sinbad. It's a new show. Yeah, that's where I break in." And everybody goes, "Oh man, I was scared. It's you. Oh man, can I take a selfie?" Yeah.
But I love the show.
Right.
If you got directors who can think that way, I think that might be more evocative than even the idea of choosing your own adventure that Netflix played with. But maybe the idea of choosing your own camera angle, watching the same show, it could be interesting with a good director and a good story. Yeah, right. I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's an angle for them.
Yeah, I personally thought it was interesting because when I was at CES this year, I went to their keynote and they were bringing up people on stage talking about more of like the interactive stories that were like that. And I was actually surprised they didn't launch with those projects to begin with, at least to my knowledge, because I think, those projects, obviously they don't have like the celebrity list of names on those. I think those are the more like original up and coming creators, Dad, that you were talking about. Yep. They're the ones I think who are really pushing that side of it more so. So I thought that was interesting that they didn't lead, at least with one or two of those shows, in the mix of what they have now. At least to my knowledge, I haven't seen it yet from their first like list of shows.
And if there's one thing we've learned in Hollywood is there's old dogs trying to learn new tricks. And getting a director who's always been you get the best director in the world, but if he knows how to make one kind of movie on film or what, and then you get him to do something on a phone, it's different. But a younger director with some crazy ideas who's never had to work the traditional the angle of making a film might have something way more compelling to watch. You just never know. Even with big names does not necessarily come the success in the new technology field. Sometimes, but not always. Mostly not.
That's what I kept saying. Yeah. I said, if you bring up the same old dog, hey, we got this great new concept. I said, but you didn't bring new people. This was a chance to open a door, man, for some new people that see life different than you do.
Yeah.
I think Quibi will start to see a turn, and obviously once people are allowed outside and to like actually travel, I think that'll help the platform as well, because that's what it was designed for. It was designed for when you're out and about, you're kind of sitting around waiting in line or whatever, you could watch a quick show.
Yeah, 5G is going to push all of that. That's going to be nice.
We're also going to get brain cancer and die. But at least we'll watch a lot of good shows. We're going to watch a lot of good shows before we die.
We'll be glowing, but we'll be caught up on all our content.
Yeah,
right.
Burn the movie in. They just burn it into your head.
Yeah, and that's a whole other topic. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about that today, but that's definitely something that needs to be tackled as well as the 5G. What's real, what's not real, all that stuff about it, because that's crazy. So yeah, also I'll just end it with this because I'm just curious to see how do you guys see yourselves implementing Quibi? Trying to find a way and making deals and implementing your own kind of technology and I don't know if the Quibi could even handle like the type of interactive storytelling that you guys do, but do you see that as a platform that could be utilized by you guys?
I think so. Also, just real quick, I don't let the guys talk too, but we've definitely met with, we have relationships at every studio, at every streamer. We've talked a lot about this. It's just a matter of kind of finding the right, sometimes, believe it or not, like even with Agent Emerson and other things we've been experimenting with, we're kind of almost too far ahead of the technology platforms to show what we were trying to do. Believe it or not, it's crazy. But even we had some hurdles with getting Emerson done because it was a game, a movie in a game engine, but it wasn't a movie or a game. It was a little of both. And it was very, very revolutionary. But then you go to a platform like, well, we have a video platform and a game platform. And, and so for us, we really try to dial it in and go, okay, we can do anything. But what are these? We still have channels that are a little more narrower than we're thinking too big for the channels in some ways. And there's too much technology. I never thought I'd hear myself say that. It's crazy. But that's still where the industry is kind of going. It's consistent. So for us, when we talk about things, I see content we've made that can completely fit into a small bites kind of thing. The way I approach it would be like, you create a show, and then you kind of, those commercial breaks become where you kind of end it, and then you give it a good twist with what we know, which is creating agency. So I am interested in changing camera angles, or giving people decisions, or things that they could do with a device, even in a small modicum of agency that might make that experience different in some kind of way. That's super cool. That's what I live for. It's really fun. But so we have those talks a lot, and it's just a matter of finding the right project at the right time, with the right executive on their side to champion it. And then we have those talks, and we've got a few things down the road on the TV side. But I find all these things really neat. I find Quibi really neat and really interesting, and I hope it takes off, because it's just a different way of creating content, and kind of breaking the mold of the traditional studio system, which is sort of, one, hard to get into, and two, antiquated. I mean, you want community, you want new experiences and new content and new devices to watch that content, and that's all stuff we live for. And so I'd like to be there at the forefront of it. That was the whole point of Rogue Initiative. So I'm sorry, I'll let the guys talk though.
Yeah, just going along with what Pete said, and he's always thinking ahead on how we can integrate technology into the stories we tell. Just working with people like you, Royce, and taking ideas and thinking about how, like, the project that we're developing together, what's a way that we can use Quibi's technology and that idea of changing what you're seeing and what you're perceiving based on, what the orientation of the phone is. There's things we can do with that. Like, you can have things perceived as the cube in the story that we're developing, and we can see the digital version of what the cube sees. And I don't know how much, you want to be talking about your project, but it's about, like, working with people like you that have stories and ideas, and being like, how can we use technology to tell that story in an interesting way? And that's what I think would be really cool. So that's kind of where I stand. And yeah, it'd be an honor to work with Quibi. It'd be an honor to work with somebody like Jeffrey and Steven and all that. So certainly.
Yeah,
Awesome.
And just to add to that, Quibi, if you think try to gamify it or something like that, maybe depending on what scene you're looking at, if you're holding your phone in a certain direction, the story branches, right? So it's like, oh, I turned left, I turned right because I was holding the landscape. We'll go to this point in the story and turn it the other way, and boom, there you go. You get a whole nother piece of content. So they don't always have to be so interlocked together. They can come back and find that point where they do rejoin, in the story, so that the ending's the same. Maybe not. Who knows? So it's a lot of interesting stuff, and that's easy enough. Who can't turn their phone? I'm asking for a lot if I tell you to use a PlayStation controller, but turning your phone,
exactly.
You can open the door, can't you?
Yep. Right. No, absolutely. And yeah, I know we went a lot longer than we were supposed to, but I just want to say, thank you guys so much for being on the show and talking with us and sharing your side of everything. This has been a lot of fun. This has been definitely a lot of fun. And for everybody who's interested in keeping up with you guys and your projects and all that stuff, what's the best way to do that?
Follow us at therogueinitiative.com. We send out newsletters and update the site as often as we can. And we got stuff coming down the pipe, a lot of it that will come out again after this all blows over.
2021?
Thank you, Royce. It's been a pleasure, man. We are huge fans of your podcast, and thank you for allowing us to be on it. We really
it was super fun.
I'm saying, man, guys, Rogue Initiative is great, man. Seeing Joseph, Brad, Pete, man, it's so cool. Don't forget, man, these things we're gonna do. This virtual reality. Don't forget this, man.
I like it.
Don't forget me when we go back outside. Don't forget me.
Been a pleasure, man. Thank you.
All right, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, Brad, Pete, Joe. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye, Royce. Keep it up.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
Bye.